story's gonna be lit. I'm completely, let's get a disclaimer here. I am not bashing Hollister in any way. I love their store. I like their jeans. I had a very bad experience working there, but you know what? It's over with. Hello, family, friends, people of the internet. My name is Gienna, and thank you for tuning in to my video and my channel. This week, I figured, since my favorite videos to watch on YouTube are Storytime videos, I thought that I would do the time that I quit my job at Hollister. This is probably one of the most ridiculously weird, funny, and just literally ridiculous videos I think I'm probably gonna ever film because the story is so ridiculous. We're gonna get into the video, and before I start, sorry about this. Make a long story short, I bashed my head on my record player in my room. Yeah, it was fun time, so you're just gonna have to deal with that because it's gonna be there for a while. It'll probably be in next week's video too. I don't know. It's getting better, so hopefully I don't have to wear this anymore. But I guess a little bit of like a preface would be that I got the job at Hollister in 2013, maybe July into August. I had just gotten fired from my job before for something really stupid. I won't tell you that because that's a whole nother story. I have really bad luck with jobs. So I got fired from the job before in I want to say May of 2013. And I ended up applying to Hollister over the summer. I finished school that year. I think I was a junior and I was going into my senior year of high school. I finished up my junior year and I went, and over the summer I applied to a lot of places at my local mall. And Hollister was one of them. I was like, ooh, high school, middle school, you shop at Hollister and all this other kind of stuff or whatever. So I liked their clothes and everything, so I was like, cool, I'll work there. Hopefully I'll work there and I'll be able to get some free clothes or a discount. I ended up getting the call, I want to say maybe July, beginning or middle of July. And I got the call and they wanted me to come in for an interview. I went in for the interview and it was a group interview, and it was my first group interview I've ever done. I was a little bit nervous, but apparently they liked my responses enough to hire me because I got the call back a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and I actually was in my pool outside. My dad came out and he's like, hey Gienna, they called and they want you to come and work. And I'm like, cool, okay, cool. I'm like, dude, I'm working at Hollister. So I went on and wrote on my Facebook statuses, and I wrote on Twitter like, ooh, come see your girl at Hollister. So I was like, okay. So I've gone in and met with my supervisor. And we'll call it, I'm not gonna say the name of the supervisor because I don't know if anybody from there is actually gonna watch this video, but we're not gonna say the name. We'll call him Fred. So Fred was a really nice guy. Fred, I had gone in and I gave him my work permit, I gave him a couple other papers that I had to have signed, and I gave that to him, and we sat on one of the work computers. We had gone over a schedule and kind of made like a makeshift for now schedule and then a schedule for when I was in school. And there was all these hours and all these days and everything, and it fit with all the labor laws. So I was like, dude, I don't know what all of these people are talking about telling me that you don't get hours when you work at the mall, because I'm going to get a bunch of hours. Not so much. I think a total a week I worked maybe 4 or 6 hours a week. So my supervisor was Fred, and again, I really liked Fred. He would kind of stick me off in the way back, and I usually was folding clothes and putting stickers on clothes, the size stickers. I did a lot of sensors. I put a lot of sensors on. I took a lot of sensors off of clothes. Now we're getting into the good part. This was this one work day, and I was in for a shift, I want to say maybe 4 to 6 weeks in. I'm gonna feel for it. It was probably a 4 to 9 shift, and it was my first big shift bigger than 2 or 3 hours. Thing with the very minimal hours was going to change because that was just kind of like them feeling me out, making sure that I was okay. So it's like, ooh, I was like, I'm in, like I'm good. And my schedule for the next week wasn't up yet because it was like, I don't know, maybe like a Tuesday, and like they went on like a Thursday schedule, I think, so like you could only check it every Thursday, or it was very funky. It was like something weird. I went in for my shift and I was in the back, you know, doing my stuff or whatever, but this time I was folding jeans. I had to fold jeans, censor the jeans, and put them on the base. So in the back with the base, where they had, you know, maybe there was one ladder back there for people to climb on. And there's multiple people in the back at the same time. There's probably like 10 or 15 people in the back at the same time, just constantly moving, because there needs to be multiple people back there. Multiple people need to do different things. I was kind of in my corner in the back, kind of folding the jeans, putting the sensors on the jeans, and I set them into piles. I would scan them in and set them into piles onto which bay they went on. And then like each, like if the jeans were on the bottom, it would go on like the bottom shelf. Like, you know, like I tried to organize it as best as I could. They like split down the middle, and you could kind of like, you could move them so that like if you needed to like move one to get in between two, like you could do that. Well, I brought my piles over to the table. There was like a little like table in front, and then like the bays went all the way back. I needed the ones that were right in front. Oh boy. And this happened to be the time that like everybody was in the way back, or like nobody was in the front watching me. I literally was the only one there, and I'm so glad nobody saw me do this. I was climbing, and I had to climb to the very top shelf to put these jeans away. And at the time, there was a bunch of the people that I didn't talk to, or that I knew not to talk to, on the ladder. So I was like, okay, you know, as I've been working here, I had seen a couple of the employees just climb up on the shelves and go and put the stuff in. I was like, okay, good, I'm fine. I'm short, I'm good, I should be able to do this, I'm pretty nimble, you know, like I can do this. Climbed up to the top, put the jeans in, everything was fine. Went to go climb back down. I got about halfway down. I slid down maybe 6 or 7 feet in the air, straight down on my ass. The impact was so bad that I slid back into the lockers. There were lockers back here for the employees to put their stuff. Slid back into the lockers, bashed my head, and just sat there for a minute. I was like, what the fuck just happened? The way that I landed, I fell on my ass, but when I did, my hands were like out to like stop me. This one, I like landed it like this, slid back like that. So I was like, oh boy. So I got up, luckily no one saw me, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I was like, I'm gonna go on my break because my ass hurts, my head hurts, my whole body aches, my legs hurt, and my hands hurt. This one I didn't really land on. I like put my weight down on this one when I landed. It was like that, and I just kind of put my weight down on it. So I went to go clock out for my break, and I started to feel like really weird. Like cause I was in so much pain. I was like, I need to leave, I need to go take a break. I'm gonna take my break now. This was like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. I actually, you know, I got there from when I clocked into work, I got there. And at the time, my phone was like broken. Then I like started to feel really, really weird. It almost felt like there was like something in my sweatshirt, like right here. It almost felt like there was like a ball in my sweatshirt, and like it just like wasn't moving. So I kept on trying to like move it, and it wasn't. But as I was doing it, I could feel the bump. I go and I sit in the food court for a minute. I sit down and I take my arm out. Looked at my arm. I had popped my tendon in my hand, and if you've ever done that before, you know what that's like. I had a bulge about this tall going like this. Pushed down on it, and it was kind of squishy, so I'm like, okay. So I'm like, it's not the bone sticking out. So that's what I originally thought it was. So luckily my mom's a nurse. Obviously she wasn't with me. So I went back to Hollister, showed him my wrist, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need to leave. And he's like, okay. just like that. And I'm like,
alright.
And then he's like,
you'll get the rest of your paycheck for this, when you get your paycheck.
and I'm like, alright. And that was that. So I left, went out to my car, bawled my eyes out because I was in so much pain. And if you know me, you know that I don't cry. Called my, I was like, Mom, oh my God. I was like, I think I popped my bone out. Her and my dad came. I was faking out the whole time because like Mom was like, oh, you might need to get surgery. Met with the on-call doctor and they're like, oh boy. And I'm like, yeah, not fun. They're like, yeah, you're gonna wanna ice it and make sure you take some ibuprofen to help the swelling go down. And if it's not better within a couple days, come in and see me and we'll figure out what we can do. I'm like, okay, cool. The swelling eventually went down, but it still hurt a lot. It ended up being what's called tendonitis, and it's something that really doesn't go away. And let me tell you, it really doesn't go away because I still have pain in my hand to this day. This is where the story time comes into play. I had my wrist in an ace bandage for a while because it helped to kind of make it feel better. It helped me to not move it certain ways because if I moved it certain ways it was a shooting pain. I'm like, okay. So I went into work the following week. Went in on after school or on a day off. Went and saw my supervisor Fred. And I said, hey, I had to go in and fill out workers' comp and, an incident report and everything so that corporate knew about it. I had gone into work maybe the following week and I was like, oh yeah, I can definitely come back to work. I was cleared, I brought them the doctor's note, everything. I was cleared to come back to work and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wear the ace bandage though because it helps me to, not move it because I'm gonna have to, have that for a while. I was like, okay, I'll just let you have, this week off, the rest of the week off, and make sure to just check the schedule and I'll see you next week. You want to know what happened? I was never put on the schedule again. I was never called. I was never fired. Never nothing. I just was never put on the schedule ever again. So technically, I never quit and I was never fired. So I very well could be still in their computer system right now, still as an employee. My employment was never terminated unless they did it on their own, which would be really, really crappy if they just terminated my employment without even giving me any notice. Was never called, nothing, emailed, nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay, they literally just dropped me on the at the drop of a hat, I was dropped. And I was like, just because I got hurt and maybe corporate's gonna come in and say something to you or whatever, that's not okay with me. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll, after a month of me not hearing anything, not being in the system, not having a schedule or anything, I was like, maybe I'll just go and find another job, which is the job that I have now. Moral of the story is that if you want to work at Hollister and you get hurt, 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to be out of work without any notice. I hope you like this video. This is probably one of my favorite stories to tell because everybody's like, oh my God, you worked at Hollister? I'm like, yeah, for a month because I hurt myself and then they never ever gave me any more hours, days, anything after that. Literally, I kid you not, nothing. I got nothing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure, I want you to comment down below if you've had any similar experiences or any, jobs that were really, really shitty or that you got fired from or you quit because of something really stupid happening. So make sure you comment down below, subscribe, go check out my social media stuff, which will be in the description below as usual. And I will see you all next Monday. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.